Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into the source material surrounding a truly unique figure in filmmaking.
Yeah, we're looking at Robert Rodriguez. You could argue he's really the definition of modern independent filmmaking, couldn't you?
Absolutely. The ultimate DIY success story. And we're going to unpack how he built this incredible career.
Our sources really point to two main things: speed and just complete creative ownership. He doesn't just direct. He basically builds the films himself, piece by piece.
So our goal today, our mission for this deep dive, is to get past the cool action scenes and the style and really understand the philosophy underneath it all.
Exactly. How did this low-budget filmmaker become someone who builds massive franchises? That's what we want to figure out.
Okay, let's get into it. We want to give you that solid, structured look at how he pulled it off, using smarts over cash. And it all starts with one number, one film. El Mariachi, 1992.
Oh, yeah. The $7,000 legend. It's almost mythical in Hollywood circles.
$7,000, it sounds impossible.
It's less than a lot of people spend on coffee, like you said in the outline. Just $7,000.
But that tiny investment blew up. The film made, what, $2.6 million back then?
Yeah, and adjusted for today, that's more like $5.5 million.
The return is just astronomical.
Uh-huh.
It immediately showed everyone, here's a guy who gets how to work with limits, maybe better than someone with a $100 million budget.
It really is. It's the proof of concept for everything he did later. A ratio like that tells you he's not just talented, he's a master of resources.
And that's the core idea we'll keep coming back to, right? His Mariachi-style filmmaking.
Exactly. Solving problems with creativity, not money. That's the mantra.
And the sources really bear out that this wasn't just about being cheap. It was about efficiency, keeping control, and then scaling that idea up.
All the way from a tiny indie film to, directing Star Wars stuff, it's quite the journey.
So to understand that efficiency, we got to look back. Where did it come from?
Right. He was born in San Antonio, Texas, 1968. Big family, Mexican-American parents, a nurse and a salesman. You can kind of see resourcefulness being baked in early on.
And then there's the VCR story when he was 11. That seems pretty pivotal according to the material.
Totally pivotal. His dad buys one of the very first VCRs that actually came with a camera. Think about that.
It put the tools right in his hands.
Yeah, at a time when most aspiring filmmakers were dreaming of film school or saving up for clunky 16mm gear. He had a camera at home ready to go.
So he just started messing around, learning by doing.
Constantly developing his eye, his style, just through endless practice.
Which leads to that great story about the high school football game.
Whoa, it's classic Rodriguez. He gets the job filming the games for his high school, St. Anthony. Seems perfect.
But then he gets fired.
Fired because he wasn't shooting it the way they wanted. No boring wide shots of the whole play.
He was already doing his own thing, cinematic style.
Right.
Focusing on the ball, the parents' faces.
Slow motion, tracking shots, yeah. He was telling a story, focusing on impact, not just recording the game like a security camera. It shows that his style, the fast cuts, the zooms, it wasn't learned, it was just how he saw things.
And this energy connected him with Carlos Gallardo in high school. They started making videos together.
Right, but getting into the formal film world wasn't easy. He went to UT Austin, but didn't have the grades for their film program.
So another barrier. How did you get around that one?
Classic Rodriguez move.
Oh, no.
He used a totally different skill. Cartooning.
Oh, Lost Hooligans.
Oh, yeah.
The comic strip he did for the student paper.
Yeah, for 3 years straight. Drew it every day, based characters on his brothers and sisters, like his sister Mara Carmen.
So he stayed visible, stayed creative, even without being in the film program officially.
Exactly. Kept his foot in the door, showing his discipline. And then came the short film that changed things. Bedhead in 1991.
Bedhead, that was his calling card.
Totally. 16mm. It had all his trademarks already merging. The quick cuts, the zooms, the humor. It won awards, got attention.
And that finally got him into the UT film program.
It proves the point again. Traditional path blocked. Engineer your own way in. Which brings us back to financing El Mariachi.
Okay, the $7,000. How on earth did he scrape that together? It wasn't family money.
No. Some came from his friend, Adrian Cano, but the rest. This is the amazing part. He volunteered for medical testing studies.
Wait, like pharmaceutical trials? He was a human guinea pig.
Pretty much. Putting his health on the line to raise cash for a movie nobody thought he could make, that's commitment.
That goes way beyond just bootstrapping. That's intent.
It's the definition of using every available resource. And here's a great little twist. While doing these medical studies, he met Peter Marquardt.
No way.
Yep. Who he then cast as one of the main villains in El Mariachi. So the hustle didn't just get him money, it got him talent, too. serendipity.
That's incredible. And the film itself, it wasn't even meant for U.S. theaters initially, right?
No, not at all. It was made for the Spanish language, straight-to-video market in Mexico. Shot fast, cheap, in Spanish.
But then Sundance happened. It won the Audience Award in '93.
And Columbia Pictures saw the potential. They didn't remake it, but they invested a few $100,000 in cleaning it up sound mix, picture grade for the U.S. release.
But they absolutely leaned into that $7,000 budget in the marketing. That was the hook.
It instantly cemented his image. And that whole insane experience, the medical tests, the guerrilla filmmaking became the basis for his book, Rebel Without a Crew.
Which came out in '95 and is still like essential reading for indie filmmakers.
Absolutely, a Bible for doing it yourself.
Okay, so that origin sets the stage. Let's talk about the method itself, the one-man film crew idea. Is that literal?
It's pretty close to literal. Seriously, look at his credits. Director, producer, writer, cinematographer, editor, composer, visual effects supervisor.
Production designer, sound editor, camera operator, Steadicam operator.
Yeah.
He does it all, often operating the main camera himself.
Yeah, which leads to those famous credits, like on Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Shot, chopped, and scored by Robert Rodriguez.
Right. It's a statement. Cinematography, editing, music, all him. Or Sin City. Shot and cut by Robert Rodriguez. He owns the look, the rhythm, the sound.
So, Mariachi-style. Let's really define that beyond just being cheap. What does it mean in practice?
Okay, the core idea from Rebel Without a Crew and everything else is creativity, not money, solves problems. It's about efficiency.
So if you need a big crane shot but can't afford a crane.
The Mariachi-style asks, how do you create the feeling of that shot differently? Maybe it's a super fast dolly move, a whip pan, a smash cut, an intense zoom. You use the tools you do have to get the emotional beat.
It sounds like he's using his editing skills, his camera skills, to almost disguise the budget limits, like he learned filming those football games.
Exactly. His editing is key. Because he knows he's cutting it himself and he's often holding the camera, he only shoots what he absolutely needs.
Less wasted footage, less setup time.
Dramatically less. He visualizes the edit while shooting, so he gets maximum coverage with minimum takes. It speeds everything up.
Now, there's this concept that seems really practical, the Robert Rodriguez list method. Stu Moshwitz coined that, right?
Yeah, in the DB Rebels Guide. And this is something anyone can potentially use, not just filmmakers.
Okay, how does it work?
It flips screenwriting on its head. Instead of writing a script and then figuring out what you need, you start by making a list of everything you already have access to.
Like physical assets, a cool car, maybe your friend's weird apartment, specific location like a desert road.
Or props. Swords, old computers, a unique costume, whatever you can get your hands on easily and cheaply or for free.
You inventory all that first.
Right. And then you write the screenplay specifically to use those things. Got access to a warehouse and a forklift. Write a scene set in a warehouse involving a forklift. Don't write a scene needing a spaceship if you don't have one.
It's about building from your strengths, from your existing resources, turning limitations into the actual story engine.
It completely removes that excuse of, I can't start until I get funding for X, Y, or Z. You start with what you have now.
That's a powerful mindset shift. And this efficiency even extends to his work schedule, doesn't it? The whole working at night thing.
Yeah, the sources mention he prefers working late, believes creatives are often night people. But it wasn't just artistic whim.
It was practical. How so?
Because he had 5 kids. Working at night meant he could spend daytime hours with them when they were growing up, when they were home from school.
So he structured his creative work, the writing, editing, composing around his family life.
Exactly. It's another example of strategic resource management, managing his time to maximize both creative output and family connection.
Okay, but this absolute need for control, the mariachi style, it eventually led to a major conflict, right, with the DGA, the Directors Guild.
Yeah, that was a big one. It all came to a head with Sin City in 2005.
Because the look of that movie was so directly taken from Frank Miller's comic book panels.
Literally. It was a translation. And Rodriguez felt Miller's contribution was so fundamental to the film's direction, the visual language, that Miller deserved a co-director credit.
Makes sense. But the DGA has rules about that.
Very strict rules. They only allow shared credit for what they call legitimate teams, like the Coen brothers or the Wachowskis, long-established partners, not for a comic artist, no matter how visually integral. They said no to Miller getting the credit.
And Rodriguez's response?
He didn't argue, he didn't negotiate, he just resigned from the DGA, quit the union.
Wow. Before they even started shooting.
Yep. He said he wouldn't be forced into compromises he didn't believe in, and importantly, he didn't want to set a bad precedent that could hurt other directors down the line who might want to properly credit key collaborators.
That's a huge move. Most directors wouldn't risk losing DGA membership. That affects working on big studio films.
It had immediate consequences. Because he resigned, he had to drop out of directing John Carter of Mars for Paramount, a project he was already signed on for.
So he walked away from a massive studio picture, a huge payday.
For the principle of crediting his collaborator correctly, it shows you how deeply he believes in that creative control and fairness. Pure conviction.
That's the price of that independence. But you could argue that standing firm like that actually strengthened his brand in the long run.
I think it did. It showed Hollywood exactly who he was. Uncompromising on his vision, incredibly efficient, but you had to accept his method. It probably made him more attractive to studios like Lucasfilm later, who needed someone exactly like that.
Okay, so he establishes this independent method. How does he build on it? Let's talk franchises.
Right after El Mariachi, he proved he could scale up. Desperado in '95 had a bigger budget, bigger stars.
Antonio Banderas came on board. And it was Salma Hayek's big English language break, wasn't it?
Huge for her career.
Yeah.
And that film felt like Rodriguez, just bigger. He finished that Mexico trilogy later with Once Upon a Time in Mexico in 2003.
But maybe the smartest move, financially at least, was shifting into family films.
Oh, absolutely. The Spy Kids universe. That was the game changer for his infrastructure.
Spy Kids in 2001 was a massive hit. Totally different vibe, fun, techie.
And it launched a huge franchise. 4 movies now, plus the recent Netflix one, Spy Kids, Armageddon.
And those hits gave him the capital to build his own studio, right? Quick Draw Studios in Austin.
Exactly. He used Hollywood money to build the infrastructure he needed to stay independent, to keep making films his way, outside the main studio system. It funded the one-man crew model on a larger scale.
And the family connection kept going with the adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. That origin story is pretty unique.
It's amazing. The whole idea came from his son, Racer, who was only 7.
7 years old.
Yep. Rodriguez took his son's drawings, his concepts, and turned them into a feature film. And Racer got screenplay credit.
That's incredible. Talk about collaboration starting at home. Echoes of Los Hooligans using his siblings.
It's all woven together. And he revisited that world recently with We Can Be Heroes on Netflix in 2020.
Okay, switching gears back to the grittier side.
Yeah.
His collaboration with Quentin Tarantino. That's been hugely influential.
Started way back with From Dusk Till Dawn. But yeah, Grindhouse in 2007 was a major moment.
The double feature they co-directed. Rodriguez did the Planet Terror segment, wild zombie stuff.
Over the top. But the thing that really lasted from Grindhouse was actually one of the fake trailers. Machete. Starring his second cousin, Danny Trejo. The idea for that character went way back. Rodriguez had it in '93.
He apparently told Trejo on the set of Desperado, "You should be the Mexican Charles Bronson, starring in a movie called Machete every year."
And it finally happened. First as a trailer, then as full movies. And here's that Rodriguez cross-pollination again.
Where did Machete first appear as a character?
In Spy Kids, he was Uncle Machete, PG-rated intro for an R-rated action hero. He just weaves everything together.
It really shows the strength of his network. Trejo's his most frequent collaborator, right?
10 projects.
10 projects. It's like a family. Banderas, Hayek, Cheech Marin, they've all done 7 films with him.
Alexa Penavega, Carmen from Spy Kids, she's done 6. He even walked her down the aisle.
It shows that trust, that loyalty. It's not just business, it's a community he's built, which ties into how he shares his knowledge, too.
The 10-minute film school segments on his DVDs, those are legendary for film students. Pure gold. He doesn't hide the secrets. He literally shows you, step by step, how he pulled off shots cheaply, how he made things work.
And then the cooking segments. The 10-minute cooking school. That came out of nowhere but became so popular.
It started with Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Johnny Depp's character is obsessed with puerco pibil, this slow-roasted pork.
So Rodriguez just showed everyone how to make it on the DVD.
Yeah, apparently he cooked amazing meals for the cast and crew during those late-night Austin shoots, so he shared the recipe.
And then he did it again for Sin City. Right. Breakfast tacos.
Sin City breakfast tacos, using his grandmother's actual tortilla recipe. It just perfectly shows how his whole life, family, food, filmmaking, it's all interconnected in the final product. It's personal.
Okay, so he's got his method, his studio, his network. How does he expand beyond just making movies?
Well, he realized pretty early that controlling distribution was almost as important as controlling production.
Which led to El Rey Network in 2013, his own cable channel.
Yeah, a dedicated home for the kind of genre stuff he loves. It gave him a pipeline he owned.
And he used it right away to launch the From Dusk Till Dawn TV series.
Based on his earlier film, yeah, it ran for a few seasons. Showed he could build out his own IP on his own platform.
He was also really ahead of the curve on digital filmmaking. The sources say he was a big advocate early on.
Makes total sense, right? Digital is inherently Mariachi-style. Cheaper cameras, nonlinear editing, faster workflow, more accessible.
It democratizes the whole process.
Exactly. And George Lucas himself apparently introduced him to digital, let him play with the tech at Lucas's place.
Which is fascinating considering where he ended up decades later, working within the Star Wars universe.
Big time. Directing that key episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, The Tragedy.
His style, fast action, practical feel, but handling big digital effects seemed like a perfect fit for what they needed.
Totally. And that led to him being a major force on the Book of Boba Fett as executive producer and director.
Still being the one-man crew even there.
Well, maybe not one man, but still doing a lot. He even did voice acting for 2 characters on Boba Fett, Doc Strassi and Mokshays.
Always finding ways to contribute across the board. And he's still making deals, like that first-look deal with HBO and HBO Max.
Securing premium outlets for his future projects. Always thinking strategically.
Okay, let's touch on the what-ifs.
Yeah.
The projects that almost happen. They often tell you a lot about someone's interests.
Oh, yeah. His unrealized projects list is fascinating. Like Madman, the comic book he's owned the rights to since '98.
Mike Allred's comic. It never got made, but there's a key connection there.
Yes. According to the sources, it was Mike Allred who introduced Rodriguez to Frank Miller.
So no Madman movie, but that connection led directly to Sin City.
Wow.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then there was Barbarella. He was attached to remake that in 2007, wanted to cast Rose McGowan.
And that actually delayed Sin City 2 for a while.
It did. Barbarella stalled, so he pivoted quickly. By 2008, he was planning a Red Sonja remake, also with Rose McGowan. You see his loyalty to certain actors and IPs.
He also had plans for animation and fantasy. Heavy metal.
Yep. Bought the rights in 2011, wanted to do a new animated film. And after Frank Frazetta died, he wanted to do a live-action remake of Fire and Ice, the Frazetta Bakshi film.
Yeah, even an Escape from New York remake.
Attached in 2017 with John Carpenter himself producing. It's like a dream list of genre projects. Shows his deep love for that kind of material.
So even while playing in these huge Hollywood sandboxes, he's still doing really unconventional, almost conceptual stuff too.
Absolutely. Which brings us to maybe the weirdest project on his resume, 100 Years.
The film they made in 2015 with John Malkovich.
That won't be released until the year 2115.
100 years later, it's locked in a safe.
A literal time capsule film. It's such a contrast to his usual fast-paced output. An incredible act of, artistic patience. Faith in the future. He'll never see it really.
Mind-boggling. And then right up to the present day, he's still innovating on the community and funding side.
Yeah, very recently announced at SXSW in Austin, his new company, Brass Knuckle Films.
And this sounds like Mariachi-style scaled up for today's world.
Totally. It's built around fan investment. Fans can actually put money in, become stakeholders in these low to mid-budget genre films.
But it's more than just crowdfunding, right? Fans can pitch ideas.
That's the key part. Fans are invited to pitch their film concepts directly to Rodriguez. He's planning an initial slate of 4 films, directing one himself.
The audience becomes the backers and part of the creative pool.
It's democratizing that very first step. Finding the ideas, the energy, the resources within the community, not just from studios. It's the $7,000 El Mariachi spirit, but as a formal company structure.
Okay, so wrapping this up, looking across this incredible career, the through line is definitely that ingenuity, that efficiency.
Yeah, the one-man crew wasn't just a quirk. It was a business strategy, a way to maintain control and beat the system.
He showed that starting small, like $7,000 small, could lead to massive success if you're smart about resources.
And that creative control is worth fighting for, worth sacrificing big paydays for, like quitting the DGA.
Whether it's action films, kids' movies, cooking shows, it all comes back to maximizing what you have.
And he's proven that method works at the highest levels. Lucasfilm, HBO, while still launching grassroots, fan-driven ventures. It's all integrated. His life, his family, his food, his filmmaking.
So the story of Robert Rodriguez, this whole deep dive, it really answers that classic question creatives always ask. How do I start with nothing?
It does. And it leaves us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to take away.
If Rodriguez could turn a $7,000 budget into a global career, by using what was right in front of him, the Robert Rodriguez list method, turning constraints into the actual story.
Then what's the biggest barrier stopping you right now, creatively or professionally? What barrier could you maybe just eliminate by looking at the resources, the skills, the connections you already possess.
Maybe you don't need the big budget or the
Right.
perfect conditions.
Maybe the key element, that unique prop, that location, that family story is already right there. Look around. Ingenuity, like Rodriguez shows, is often way more valuable than cash.
That's our deep dive on the Mariachi Maverick, Robert Rodriguez. Thanks for joining us.